Today I want to revisit one of my favorite books. This is Machiavelli's The Prince. This is basically the manual to be a good ruler, and so many leaders throughout history have read this book and used it for guidance, so why not read it yourself? But the thing I want to talk about today is probably the most famous phrase from the book, which is something my high school history teacher would always say, and the phrase is, "It is better to be feared than loved, but not hated." And this is something that if you're in a leadership position, if you're in any sort of relationship, if you have business dealings with somebody, or you just, you just want a better perspective on life, like we oftentimes don't like to accept the reality of the world. We don't like to see that the world is not all sunshine and rainbows, that the world has these invisible games that we're playing. Like Robert Greene, you can tell he was inspired by this book just based off his life perspective, because the overall premise of The Prince is that people always have ulterior motives, even if they're unconscious, even if they're not fully like acting in that way. Like, they have ulterior motives. They might not understand them themselves, but there is something going on in the background. There is some power game being played, and we need to understand these if we're going to operate in the modern day society. Because think like 90% of us, 95% of us, we're all going to be working for corporations. We're all going to be a cog in the wheel, part of the system, and the system is not designed for you to benefit. The system is not designed for you to be creative, for you to be ingenuitive. The system is designed for you to fit in, to do a particular role, and for you to, maybe get a promotion someday. And it's frustrating because I want the world to be fair. I want the world to be meritocracy. I want people to get the job because they're the best qualified, because they are the best person for the job. But it's simply a fairy tale for me to say that there's a possible circumstance where this could happen. And this is why we need to understand Machiavelli. This is why we need to understand the principles of The Prince. And when you say it's better to be feared than loved, what basically that means is, when you're in a business relationship with somebody, when you're a leader, when you have people underneath you, it is not necessarily the best option for them to love you. I'm not saying that you can't be friends with them. I'm saying that you need a level of respect where they know that if they mess up, they lose that opportunity. They lose that job. Like, they have a duty to you. They have a duty to give you their best effort. And if that is not met, then consequences will incur. And it's almost a harsher perspective than most people like to accept and most people like to understand. But this is how it has to be, because this is how you're going to get the most out of every circumstance. Like, you don't want to be the one that's getting taken advantage of. Like, when I have my business, when I have employees, when this thing really takes off the ground, like, I'm not saying I'm not going to be buddy with my employees, but I'm saying that there's going to be space. We're not going to be going out to eat on the weekends. We're not going to be at each other's houses doing this, doing that, because I feel like that's going to jeopardize the relationship of the business. Like, the business should be, I give you this wage, you do this job, and we have mutual benefit. As you increase your skills, I pay you more. As I make more money off of you, I give more in return to you. I give you more opportunities. I give you a letter of recommendation. And it's this relationship that we need to balance, but at the same time, we can't be so tyrannical that we become hated. And this is an issue that you can observe in politics today. Like, let's take Donald Trump. Donald Trump is probably the quintessential example of this entire phrase, because he's feared, he's loved, and he's hated. And because of this, his first presidency was pretty much thwarted by the opposing politics. The next presidency, if he wins, will be the same thing, if not worse. And it's because he's hated. Like, sure, he's loved by a certain percentage of the population, but if you have the exact same percentage of the population that hates you, like, it basically nullifies the effect. And if anything, it makes it worse, because when you're hated, people are actively trying to get back at you. People are actively trying to get in your way. People are actively trying to thwart and overthrow your power. And these are things that we need to start understanding, because when we understand it from this perspective, we know how to be a great leader. And I'm not saying that you have to take it in the negative sense. Like, Machiavelli was not just known for this book. He was also a tremendous author, but Machiavelli in this book understands the reality of the world, and sometimes the reality of the world is cold. So take everything I just said with you and understand it. grasp it and apply it to your own life. Understand that there has to be boundaries when you're a leader. People have to respect you. People have to give you some credence. People have to give you some sense of authority, or you're just going to get taken advantage of. People are going to embezzle from your company. People aren't going to be doing the work that you pay them to do. And it's really a lose-lose for everybody, because they're not getting the experience they deserve. They're getting paid for something that they didn't do, and they're not improving themselves. We need to take this perspective. We need to understand these facts, and we need to start applying them to our lives and thinking about them, because processes like this are a great exercise in understanding how the power structures of the world works. And once you understand the power structures, you can understand the working mechanisms and the thing that really drives change in this world. And the only solution we have is to understand the great minds of history, understand their thought processes, apply them to our own lives, make our own lives better, then shift that onto the community. Be an inspiration. Be somebody that is looked upon in your group, and people are like, you know what? This guy put a lot of work in. This guy did a lot of great things, and I'm going to build on that. I'm going to be the next him. I'm going to be even better than him. And that's how we drive change, with a continual effort of self-improvement every single day, with a continual effort of reading, meditating, journaling, all of these things, and applying these principles into your life. So hopefully this is a nice change up, because I feel like oftentimes I'm just summarizing parts of the book, but I think the overarching idea of this book is that the state is before everything, and you need to not be upset by how people view you. You need to have a level of respect, but you can't have so much respect that people despise you and people do not like you and they do not want to work for you. They do not want to submit to you. And it's all a give and take in this world. And hopefully this is interesting. Hopefully this is something you like. If it was, let me know, because I can do more things like this. I can, find more things from this book, or find more things from another book. But thank you so much for making this far. I will catch you in the next one. I will leave a link in the description to this book if you want to check it out. It's about 100 pages, very interesting, very insightful, and very quick read. I see no reason not to get it. So thank you so much. I will catch you in the next one.